Baghdad time, United States military forces captured Saddam Hussein alive. He was found near a farmhouse outside the city of Tikrit in a swift raid conducted without casualties.
Wow.
I'm trying to go confirm.
Unconfirmed. Yeah.
That's for this one.
Unconfirmed. No.
What up?
Unconfirmed reports about Gaddafi being captured.
And of unconfirmed videos.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Yep.
So we've been here before.
Yep.
Same playbook, different reason every now and then. But Brian Berlatek, journalist focused on Eurasia, he warned people about this multiple times. He actually warned people about it on my show. Brian Berlatek said, like I said before, neocon sock puppet Trump and his neocon line administration even won the election or took office. Nothing was going to change no matter who was elected, and all the neocon wars would advance as usual. In fact, they accelerated.
Oh, yeah.
This should lay to rest any doubt regarding U.S. withdrawal from hegemony. These fantasies floating around out here, especially regarding Russia, Iran, and China, who the U.S. is already in the process of fighting either directly or by proxy, and whose dismemberment of Venezuela aims to further isolate and weaken. What Brian Berlatek revealed on this show was that the Brookings Institute had already explained years ago the foreign policy, the plan for foreign policy laid out over the next couple of years. And one of them was Venezuela. So what you see happening right now was already decided. When it comes to foreign policy, oftentimes this is the case. Now, let's go to what Donald Trump said about Venezuela and Maduro.
Yeah, what was that?
Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had. They took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
I don't know how many times Donald Trump has made the statement that we want the oil. And still, people continue to fall for the okie doke. So here's what happened, ladies and gents. People are asking, why didn't Maduro's military step in to protect him or save him? Did you know that the U.S. government turned off the lights? And if they can turn off the lights in Venezuela, they can turn off the lights anywhere. They can turn off the lights right here. Everyone needs to remember this. So there is footage of this, of the lights going off. Check this out.
Were you listening when Donald Trump said this?
Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have.
It sounds like what he's saying is the United States has the capability of turning off the lights for 1.9 million people in a large Latin American country like that. And of course, I wouldn't believe it if there wasn't a video.
Y después van hacia arriba, ¿sí? Siempre, o parte de su madre, o parte...
And I have to pause it here because after that, we can't show explosions and stuff on here. But this streamer caught the Venezuela strikes live on stream. So again, what it said here, it shows you that the U.S. government turned off the lights in Caracas. I think a lot of times people are underestimating the type of technology that we have in this country, military technology. If they can turn off the lights in Venezuela, they can turn off the lights anywhere, even here. So they turned off the lights.
Yeah.
So for people asking why didn't Maduro's military come in and help him, complete blackout. Everything went out. Now imagine walking down the street and that happens, right? Before they captured him. Do you know who he met with? Maduro met with a Chinese special envoy. See, these are the things people need to see. This was his last public appearance. He was meeting with China.
Nuestro cariño y admiración. Cariño. China siempre tiene que saber que aquí tiene.
Now, remember, Venezuela was interested in becoming a part of BRICS. BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They're trying to build a multipolar world. And they have entertained this multiple times about moving away from the US dollar. They've entertained that as well. So I just found it interesting that the moment they decided to kidnap, and I say kidnap, not capture. Let's go to part 2, Eric. They decided to kidnap Maduro. It was right after he met with China. They kidnapped him. Let's show the pictures here. I want you to see the picture. So first of all, they blocked off his sight. They blocked off his sound. I don't even think that's legal. I don't think it's legal to block off someone's senses when they're being transported, especially after you've kidnapped them. There's Maduro right there. And then here's another one here. Okay. So that was him on board the USS Iwo Jima. Right there. Now, the reason why I showed you those videos at the very beginning, just to remind you that this has been done through multiple presidential terms, whether it was Gaddafi under Obama, whether it was Saddam Hussein under George W. Bush. Doesn't matter what the party is that's in the White House when it comes to imperialism abroad and when it comes to overthrowing governments. Now, I mention those because I want to remind you what happened to those countries when they overthrew their leader. Because for all the people saying this is a win for Venezuela,
No.
I don't think so.
Nope.
Nothing good can come from this. In fact, Tulsi Gabbard had been warning about this for years until she decided to get paid. Now you don't hear Tulsi Gabbard saying anything. She is silent as hell since Maduro was kidnapped. There's another video that was released here. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro tells reporters good night and happy new year. This one came through pretty late last night here.
Good night. Happy New Year.
Now, people saw this and they said, well, he doesn't look upset or anything like that. And I said, well, you know, there could be some type of deal that they try to make. But at the end of the day, remember, Nicolas Maduro, before he was captured, he said that he was willing to talk, to sit down and talk. But Trump was like, nah, we're going to go in gangster style. And notice just like that, people stopped talking about the Epstein files. Just like that. And what's scary about this is Donald Trump is saying we can do this everywhere. No one can stop us. His words, not mine.
But we can't take a chance after having done this incredible thing last night of letting somebody else take over, where we have to do it again. We can do it again, too. Nobody can stop us. There's nobody that has the capability that we have. You know, when I watch that war in Russia going on and on and on and everybody dying, and it's like, it's primitive. It's primitive. It's horrible.
It's what?
So there is the president of the United States saying we can do this anywhere and no one can stop us.
That's not
By the
true.
way, Donald Trump has already announced we're going to look at Cuba.
They can't do that.
There's
anymore.
something that these countries
Not
also have in
North
common.
Korea. No
We'll get
way.
into that as well. But let's start with the drug claim. The drug claim.
Oh, Jesus.
Donald Trump and his minions said that Nicolas Maduro, that they were trafficking fentanyl. Fentanyl is not even produced in Venezuela. But you don't have to believe me. Just look at what Wallace says. Drug traffickers in South America do not produce or traffic fentanyl. Let's go on here. It says, especially in Northwest 3,000 miles from Venezuela, as the only significant source of illicit fentanyl and fentanyl analogs, significantly affecting the United States during the preceding calendar year. The analysis concluded on September 3rd, 2025. There is no proof that fentanyl is manufactured or trafficked from Venezuela or anywhere else in South America. I have been saying this over and over again. Fentanyl is not produced in South America. Yet Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and Pam Bondi and all of them said it, so it must be true, according to their supporters. Quick Google search and you can find this. Now people bring up cocaine. Now, why were they bringing up cocaine? Because now all of a sudden, it's not fentanyl that is in the indictment report. This was released earlier Sunday morning. The U.S. indictment of Maduro cites cocaine smuggling, trade in which Venezuela's role is believed to be modest. So it went from fentanyl to cocaine. Experts have said that Venezuela is not a major producer, not a major drug producer, but rather a minor cocaine transit country, with most of the cocaine flowing through headed to Europe. Right here. Plain as day. Now, why is this important? Because Nicolas Maduro will stand trial here in the United States, and the trial, again, according to the indictment, which has flipped from fentanyl to cocaine, because people went through the indictment and saw that there were fentanyl's not there, it's cocaine that's there. So it's now flipped to cocaine. The trial that is going to take place here, the U.S. government basically has to prove that Nicolas Maduro was trafficking cocaine to the United States. But all the other reports don't show that that is the case. That there was very little cocaine coming from Venezuela, and what was coming from it, the majority was going to Europe.
Right.
So for all the people who are pushing back and saying, no, he's right to go take him down because of the drugs. Well, that will be something that the U.S. government will have to prove in court. Now, I have very little faith in our justice system, so I think if they want something to stick, they'll find a way to make it stick. But if they cannot and are not willing to go that far, the trial will happen. They'll have no evidence, no proof. Maduro will be acquitted. He'll make some type of deal or agreement with Donald Trump and the administration, and the U.S. government will have a leader installed in Venezuela that they want. And that'll be the end of that.
And steal their resources.
The drug claim also takes me back to Manuel Noriega. There are similarities between the two, for those who are not aware. Before Maduro, there was Noriega. The Venezuelan leader is now in U.S. custody. Decades earlier, the U.S. deposed the strongmen who led Panama. Let's get into just a little bit of this here. I'm going to make this larger for the people in the back, as usuals. Let's get into Manuel Noriega here just to show you a little bit striking resemblance here. That episode holds some striking parallels to the capture of Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela on Saturday to the capture of Manuel Noriega, with some major differences. George H.W. Bush sent U.S. troops into Panama with the goal of capturing Noriega, who had been the country's military dictator for about 6 years. Noriega went into hiding in the Vatican's embassy in Panama City, where he was eventually captured, taken to the U.S., tried, and imprisoned. Noriega, like Maduro, had been indicted on federal drug trafficking charges. He was accused by the U.S. officials at the time of taking millions of dollars in bribes from drug traffickers and turning Panama into a capital of international cocaine smuggling. Months before both leaders were captured, the U.S. built up its military presence around their countries. Sound familiar? In Panama, President Bush sent nearly 2,000 soldiers and Marines to reinforce the 10,300 service members already there. The troops also began conducting military exercises, but many saw it as an attempt to overthrow Noriega. As part of the pressure campaign on Venezuela, Trump has been building up forces in the Caribbean for months and authorizing strikes on boats that the administration have said are run by drug traffickers. Now, what is interesting about Noriega, the two Latin American leaders, however, had very different responses to U.S. pressure campaigns. So again, Noriega, as we said, he went into hiding. He fled with his mistress in an unmarked Hyundai and went into hiding, briefly emerging at a Dairy Queen before taking refuge at the Embassy of Holy See. He was captured after a standoff that went on for days with the U.S. troops. They used, and this is important, they used speakers to blast heavy metal from bands like Black Sabbath and Guns N' Roses until he surrendered. So that's this type of psychological torture. Noriega, remember, he was basically useful to the U.S. government until he wasn't. Noriega was one of the ones that went to the School of Americas. Let me check that real quick. Just make sure I got the name right. I believe it's the School of Americas. Yeah, the School of Americas. So what was interesting about this school, this is the school which says he went to the School of Americas for training. At the school, Noriega participated in courses on infantry operations, counterintelligence, intelligence, and jungle warfare. He also took a course in psychological operations at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So Noriega was useful to the U.S. until he wasn't. This is something people need to remember. Also, don't forget that the School of Americas was one that was caught up in several abuses. Remember they talked about before how they were abusing people at the School of Americas? And a lot of people point to it as a CIA front. So these are things that people need to understand. So I thought it's important to show that and this part here where Mr. Trump said in an interview on Fox that Mr. Maduro wanted to negotiate in the final days before U.S. forces, I'm going to say, kidnapped him, and Trump rejected it. I didn't want to negotiate. I said, nope, we got to do it. So just a reminder there, folks. Like I said, we have been here before. And so now Rodriguez is now installed basically as the president, at least for now. She's the leader in charge in Venezuela. And I want you to hear what she says here. Again, she was the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez. She's been sworn in as the president. Listen to what she said.
A vice president who has just been sworn in as the president of Venezuela. Let's listen in to this media conference.
This means and what our energy resources mean. So this National Defense Council is hereby activated, commissioned, and we are awaiting the constitutional chamber of the Supreme Court. Over the next hours, we will hear what the verdict is. We will wait to see what happens with the Supreme Leader, President Maduro, and all of this is going to be discussed as of this point in time for our Venezuela, our people. Here we have a clear government, and I repeat once and again, based on the words of the president, I reflect them right here. We are willing to respect under the framework of international law and the rules of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. It's the only thing that will be acceptable for us for any engagement and relationship after there has been an assault and aggressive attacks militarily on our nation and capital. And the nation of our father, the liberator, Simon Bolivar. We will find our path forward in peace and tranquility. Those who have resorted to the use of force, those who must resort to international legality, don't have a reason on their side. We have reason on our side, and we have the moral empowerment to be able to defend peacefully and tranquility for the future of the people, the right to peace for the Venezuelan people, and the right to a social happiness that we continue galloping forward with our liberator together. We're going to continue to gallop forward in this campaign. We will continue galloping forward.
Yeah, the translator is not the best, okay? But long story short, what Rodriguez is saying there is that they're not just going to fold over to the United States government. It's basically, what